We are seeing something very, very interesting happen in British politics. And potentially for the first time ever, we are seeing conservative voters not go out and vote. And I'm not talking about going out and voting for different parties, which in case some of them may have very well done, but we aren't seeing them go out and vote. And that, for conservatives, should be the biggest warning bell there is out there. The fact that your core base, your core support is not going out to vote should be ringing some probably significant alarm bells. Certainly amongst, the conservative faithful, even as we saw very recently, the Telegraph poll in, the Conservative Party HQ, should be, thinking, oh my God, what is going to happen now? We're looking at, poll saying Conservatives could end up being the third party. How on earth could this happen? How could this happen? You hear them cry. Well, it's very, very clear. At the next general election, the Conservative Party is going to be judged by not only the performance of Rishi Sunak, but Liz Truss, Boris Johnson, Theresa May, and David Cameron. Going all the way back to 2010. Their performance has not been good. They have promised the earth but delivered nothing. And I think we are in a very interesting position where sort of essentially in 2016, the Conservatives really ran out of ideas. They ran out of steam. And in an act of desperation, David Cameron promised a referendum at a general election. He did not think he was going to win. He did it. He thought he was going to win it. He lost it very narrowly by added. And of course, if he had had a spine, he would have come out and said, well, it's only a 2% victory. It doesn't really mean anything that significant, so we're not going to act on it. That's what he should have done. That's really what he should have done. But of course, he didn't. He said, I'm going to leave this mess for someone else to clean up. And of course, along came Theresa May, who tried to sort of clean this up, but of course was harried at every single moment by the hard Brexiteers who would eventually take over after her with, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and even Rishi Sunak being sort of the hard Brexiteers who followed her, who have been very, very much in control. And of course, this speaks to a large problem that sort of Brexit has been doing, the way that, Liz Truss completely, I mean, absolutely completely trashed the Tories' entire, at least one of their core pillars. You vote Conservative because you want the party of economic stability. Liz Truss and certainly her new cronies that she's gathering around her have shown anything but they are the party of economic stability. Boris Johnson did not fulfill on his promises of getting Brexit done because, like I say, Brexit is far from done if you want to be honest with people and have an open conversation about Brexit. But certainly he never fulfilled his promises on levelling up. A great, big sort of puller to draw people in to vote Conservative, in some cases for the very first time in their entire lives. Indeed, it's certainly in the North, maybe their entire family history for the past 2 to 3 generations. But now we are seeing something interesting happen. And that is, we are having Conservative voters stay home. And in this piece, Conservative Home, we're not going to go over it because it's a bit of cope, to be honest. But the guy who sort of wrote it, what's his name now? Paul Goodman, who's one of the sort of the main writers on Conservative Home, is is very much coping here. He is somehow desperate to see. You don't understand. Labour could never ever do this well. Only Tony Blair. Only because there's one thing I'm learning from reading Conservative Home is just how much of a boogeyman like Tony Blair is for the Conservative Party, and certainly for the people on Conservative Home. It's actually quite funny how really they sort of talk about him, and the sort of the language they use to sort of talk about Labour and his leadership. It's kind of funny, to be honest. But here you can see sort of the listings, the winnings. So the total turnout, of course, for this by-election, it was around about 31%. You had a turnout of a total of 22,000 people, down by, unfortunately, 40%. Obviously, it's a by-election. That is to be somewhat expected. But what is the difference is the number in percentage of the Conservatives. Because last time you had results here, they were polling at 36%. This recent by-election shows that they are down to just 25.4. That is a significant drop, a very significant drop. And if you're looking at those numbers and you're thinking, well, hold on, where did these people go? What did they do? And there's only really two options you can sort of conclude. Either A, they went and voted for different parties, or B, as I have been telling you from all these other by-elections that we have seen, even proven out in the last local May elections, and probably will do so again at this May local elections, was that the Conservatives did not turn out to vote. So my message to progressives, certainly at the next election, get out and vote. Get out and vote. Turn out to vote big. Certainly, as you know, I'm always big on sort of getting people out there to vote and getting them out. But I'll tell you what, if you're a lefty, if you're a progressive, turning out to vote at potentially this year's, and I'm still very confident there will be a general election this year, at this year's potential snap general election could prove to be very big for us. So this could go, I think, very interesting. But you have a piece here from Conservative Home. It's like, oh no, it just shows there'll be a hung parliament instead. Don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry about it. All those recent polls that show an absolute wipeout by the Conservatives. And bear in mind, one of the comments down below. Let's see if we can find it actually. Here it is. So this is Westminster voting intentions on a poll done on the 9th of February, which was yesterday. Shows that Labour here has a 50% voting intention. That's up from 4% from the 1st of February, while the Conservatives are at 21%, and that was down 1% from the last time this was done. This is not going to be a good general election for the Tories. This is not going to be a very good general election at all. And I think, as we've said before, Starmer has to be bold. He has to be bold. He has to be brave. And he's very likely going to be in charge of a very big majority. And this is where we as progressives can get into the Labour Party and be able to put forward some really good progressive policies. Now, I know, of course, there are, as I've said before, the Labour Party is very much a big tent party, and everyone sort of wants to pull in their own general direction. But essentially, the next election, After we win, I think there has to be very much a spirit of compromise. Maybe we can't go full socialist, but maybe we can do this instead. It's not, shall we say, fully socialist we want, but hey, it's, better than nothing. And as I've said before, I would rather have a government that gives us 30% of what we want than continuing to have essentially a Tory government which gives us nothing and does nothing for us. So that's the choice, certainly potentially at the next general election. And it's still not looking good. And this by-election result certainly does not bode very well for the Tories. I'll tell you that now. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a website link called Buy Me Coffee, Buy Me Coffee, and of course, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club down below as well. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll see you all next time.